Hello, you ferocious felines, and welcome to another edition of the Ammonview podcast with myself, Liam Innes, my co-host Jake Pointer.
Hello there.
And knowledge-filled panellists Thomas Froh, Owen Innes, and Mr. Stephen Povey.
Hello there.
Hello. This week, Liam is putting us through our paces with our Livingston Scotland quiz bonanza, because let's face it, talking about international football is fucking boring.
We'll also be revealing our March Player of the Month and looking back at some of our memories against Scottish Cup opponents this weekend, Wraith Rovers.
So, grab an Easter egg, break that bad boy in half, stick a couple of scoops of Mackey's original ice cream in it, and get ready for two delicious treats as you devour your Easter egg ice cream bowl whilst ingesting some great Livingston FC based content with us here at the Ammonview podcast.
I love Scotland. We're an amazing country with some great things going for us. And don't get me wrong, I adore watching the national team struggle to draw against Mordor just as much as the next man. But talking about international football, it's fucking boring. So we thought, why not incorporate this international weekend and mix it with West Lothian's Premier Football Club by getting quizzical, by starring in our own Le Quizerable. The boys will get 5 questions each. Povey, Owen and Jake will answer questions involving exclusively Livingston and Scotland, whereas Thomas's questions will be about Livingston's international links as a whole, because he's one of that mob. Jake, are you ready to get quizzical?
I don't know, you've made me really nervous.
We will start. You have 5 questions. Are you ready?
Yes, ready.
Okay, Jake, how many Livingston managers have played for Scotland?
3.
Wrong. 10. Can you name half of them in 20 seconds starting now?
Paul Lambert, Mark Birchall, Gary Holt. Oh, I'm under pressure. Richard Gough. David Hay.
Correct. That's all you need. There were 3 players in the 2018-19 squad that had previously won caps for Scotland. Who were they? So it was our first season back in the SPL.
Previously won caps. That guy, that played one game for Kenny Miller that had a Scotland cap. What's his fucking name? Oh God, I'm under pressure. I can't.
Would you like to pass?
Pass. Fuck. This is going to be so embarrassing.
Who has more caps for Scotland? Robert Snodgrass or Lee Griffiths?
Snodgrass.
Correct. Snodgrass with 28, Griffiths with 22. From those 2 players, who has scored more goals for Scotland?
Snodgrass.
Correct. Snodgrass had 7. Griffiths has scored 4.
Wow.
So, Jake, the question that you passed on, 3 players that were in the Livingston squad from the 2018-19 season that had won caps for Scotland. You fucking named one of them by accident, Kenny Miller, Lee Miller, and Stephen Saunders.
That was it. Fuck.
But to be fair, you got 3 out of 5, so you're clearly in the lead because you're the only person that's went so far. Just out of courtesy, all 10 managers that have played for Scotland that managed Livingston: Gary Holt, Kenny Miller, David Hopkin, Mark Birchall, Paul Hegarty, John Robertson, Paul Lambert, Richard Gough, Davy Hay, and Raymond Stewart.
Great shout.
Povey, are you ready to step up to the plate and take on the quizzical mastermind that is me?
Right, go for it. Right. Hit me up.
Okay, so question 1. The 2008-09 season was a breakthrough season for another young Livingston star, along with Lee Griffiths, who went on to gain 1 cap for Scotland in a 2012 friendly against Luxembourg. Who was that player?
See, I was going to... I'm gonna have to pass.
Pass. There are 2 players that have played for Meadowbank Thistle, Livingston, and Scotland. Who are they?
Rab Douglas, Gordon McLeod, something like that.
Wrong. It was Darren Jackson.
Fuck off.
Who are the only 2 players to have played for Livingston whilst being a Scotland international? So they were capped for Scotland whilst they were playing for Livingston. Who are the only 2 players that have done that?
The only 2 players to have done that for Scotland, David McNamee. That's wrong.
No, yep, you've got one.
Is that right? David McNamee.
Gonna have to rush you for the second.
Give us a second. Robbie McCrory. No, he didn't. Fucking somebody. I don't know.
Pass.
Yeah, but chuck
Jamie McAllister.
Oh my god.
True or false? A Livingston player has won an international trophy with Scotland.
False.
It's true. And your last question is, who was it and what trophy and what year?
Well, I don't know that because I said false.
So you say it. Are you passing?
International trophy. Kirin Cup.
Correct. If you don't have to give me the year, just the player, and I will give you the point. You've already mentioned them as well.
Oh, I mentioned them. David McNamee then. I was going to say Jamie McAllister. Cheers.
Just to give you 1 point at least. The question that you passed on, the breakthrough starlet from the same year as Lee Griffiths, who went on to gain 1 Scotland cap in 2012, was none other than Murray Davidson.
That's easy. I did rubbish there.
Povey, you've scored 1 point. Jake's still in the lead.
Absolutely crumbled.
Owen, are you ready to get Le Quizerable with myself?
Le no.
A 1 cap wonder was signed by Livingston in the summer of 2009. Who was that player?
Roddy McKenzie.
Wrong, it was Robbie Winters. Robbie McCrory was the last player from Livingston to be called up to the Scotland squad, however, didn't get a cap. Who was the last player before Robbie McCrory to be called up from Livingston but uncapped?
Oh, Liam Kelly.
There you go. The manager for some of the 2014-15 and 2015-16 seasons was none other than Mark Burchill. But who did he score more goals for? Was it Livingston or Scotland?
I don't remember him ever scoring for Scotland. So I'm going to go Livingston. I think he scored about 5 or 6 goals.
Correct, but he scored 3 goals.
Oh.
The 2003-04 season seen 2 Livingston players capped for Scotland, as we previously mentioned, but we signed a Scotland international during that season on loan. What was his name? I'm going to have to rush you.
I'm going to have to pass on that.
Kerr on loan from
Brian
Newcastle.
Kerr! He never played for Scotland before he was, though.
He did. He exclusively only played for Scotland before he came to us. And your final question, which Scotland manager almost accidentally called up Barry Wilson thinking that he was phoning Barry Nicholson? Was it Craig Brown or Bertie Vogts?
Craig Brown.
Craig Brown, you are correct. Owen, you've also scored 3 points. Very well done. And finally, coming up to the plate, it's little Thomas Froe from England. So we are not going to ask you questions based on Livingston and Scotland players, because that would be too harsh, because you've got no interest in... Well, you do have an interest in Scotland, but not that much. So you're probably getting the harder of the quizzes by having to answer questions about international players that played for Livingston as a whole. So are you ready, Mr. Thomas Froe?
Definitely not, but let's go anyway.
Okay. Question 1. Who has more caps for Togo? Sharif Toure Maman or Steve Lawson?
Steve Lawson.
Wrong, it's Sharif Toure Maman.
Fuck off.
In 2003, Livingston signed Barcelona legend Guillermo Amor, who played 37 times for Spain. But how many World Cups did he play in?
I'm gonna say 2.
Wrong, it was 1.
Oh, fuck.
Which country did David Souza represent at international level? Was it the USA or Canada?
Canada.
Correct. Marvin Andrews was an international stalwart, having accumulated 101 caps for Trinidad and Tobago. But who did he play more for, Livingston or Trinidad?
I'm gonna say Livingston.
Correct. He played 111 times for Livingston. And finally, James McPake gained his only international cap in a 6-0 defeat to the Netherlands in 2012. But what home country did he represent? Scotland, England, Wales, or Northern Ireland?
Northern Ireland.
Correct. So, right.
Oh, ho, ho.
The final scores on the doors for the quiz were Jake, Owen, and Thomas getting 3 points each,
Come on.
and then little single point Povey getting 1. But because of the three-way tie, we are doing a Livy lineup knockout bonanza. I have chosen a famous Livingston game that the boys have to name the lineup in no particular order for Livingston that day. But as soon as one of the boys names a player wrong, they'll be knocked out, and we'll keep going until we have a last man standing. If one of the boys names a substitute that came on in that game, they have to go again. So, we will go in the order that the quiz went. So we'll go Jake, Owen, then Thomas. The game that you will have to put your minds back to is the second leg of the playoff final at Firhill against the Partick Thistle. Again, it doesn't have to be in any particular order, but Jake, we're going to have to sort of do this quite quickly as well, boys, so no mulling over, no thinking. You've got a time limit of about 5 seconds to name a player. If you shit it, you're out. Okay,
Right.
Are you boys ready?
Yep.
Ready.
Yes.
Cool. Right, so Jake,
Neil Alexander.
Owen,
Number 3, Jackson Longridge.
Thomas,
Keegan Jacobs.
Jake,
Sean Byrne.
Owen,
Lee Miller.
Thomas,
Scott Pittman.
Jake.
Danny Mullen. Josh Mullen.
Wrong. Josh Mullen didn't even come on that day, unfortunately for you. So you are knocked out. It is now between Owen and Thomas. So Owen,
Scott Robinson.
Thomas,
Craig Halkett.
Owen,
Alan Lithgow.
Thomas,
Declan Gallagher.
Owen. Oh,
Shit, he's out! He's out!
Thomas, you're the last man standing. Well done.
Yes.
Yes,
Did it.
Jack, like, who the fuck played right back?
The
Who
lineup,
fuck played in win? Aye,
the lineup that day was Neil Alexander, Declan Gallagher, Craig Halkett, Alan Lithgow, Keegan Jacobs, Scott Pittman, Sean Byrne, Jackson Longridge, Lee Miller, Scott Robinson, and number 24, Jordan Thompson.
Oh,
Fuck off! Who the fuck was remembering that
fair
shit?
play. Fair play.
The substitutes that came on that day were Nicky Cadden, Jack McMillan, and Gregor Buchanan. And the unused subs that day were Josh Mullen, Gary Malley, and Adam Frizzell.
Ah.
Fuck me.
No idea who that is. So, Thomas, you are the Le Quizerable king of West Lothian.
quiz on my face. Thomas.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm very happy to take this honour, especially because it was very expected that Owen would win. So I'm a bit emotional. And I'm feeling very happy with myself. So thank you, everyone. I'm surprised I remembered that game actually, because I think I was the drunkest man in the world.
I'm gonna say we were so reeking that day. How can you even remember the fucking lineup?
I know. I'm very happy with that.
Oh.
Thank you all for your time.
Fife. It's given us a fair old time over the years. From the Great Escape kicking off with a Jordan White double at Cowdenbeath in 2015, East Fife continuously bodying us for absolutely no reason in the 16-17 season in League One. Seriously, what the fuck, East Fife? To Dunfermline Athletic with their sumptuous state bakes, but also getting involved in the Hassan Cashlow debacle like a bunch of wee idiots because they wanted to give Dundee a wee winch. Pricks. And finally, the other team in the so-called kingdom. We played Bayern Munich once, eh? Wraith Rovers v Wraith, or somewhere, Kirkcaldy, apparently. So ahead of the Scottish Cup tie on Saturday against Wraith Rovers, which your big pals from the Almond View podcast, that's right, Almond View podcast, are sponsoring the match. Ballin, we have asked the boys to give us any memories they have for any games against the daft wee Team Fife Wraith Rovers. Povey, give us your Wraith Rovers memory.
I am going to go back a wee bit. It was a midweek fixture, and it was the season we won the first division and got promoted to the SPL for the first time. It was a very, very cold, wet January, Tuesday the 2nd of January 2001. And I just remember it was that season, at that point, we were looking like we were going to win the league. That game put us 10 points ahead, and pretty flying. Some team we had, I think we scored 2 early goals as well. It was David Bingham scored, and it was an Alex Burns cross, and Alex Burns got the second goal as well. It was just that glory era. Having a look at the lineup there. Alexander, Hart, Fleming, Marvin Andrews, John Anderson, Stevie Tosh, Barry Wilson, McCulloch, Scott Crabb, Burns and Bingham. I mean, that is just an absolute brilliant team.
Filthy.
But so good. So that's my memory. I remember getting we get those 2 goals, and it was just a good era, you know. We were smashing the league at that point. Plus, I've got my programme.
Aww. Owen, what about yourself? What Wraith Rovers memory do you have?
Right, so Wraith Rovers, I'm going back to Tuesday, the 10th of April 2012, another midweek fixture. Myself, Liam, my dad, we decided at the last minute, let's go to Starks Park, let's watch the mighty Livy against Wraith Rovers, ticking off another stadium certainly off of my list anyway, of stadiums I hadn't been to. 3-0 it was, and it came it was during that Rory Boulding's purple patch, and it was either the kind of beginning of that, or it was kind of in the middle of that kind of purple patch. I think he scored like 11 goals in 8 games or something like that, and he got a hat-trick. What a game it was as well. I just remember turning up to the ground, you know, floodlights and everything. I love a midweek under the floodlights game, and to see a Livingston player who most of us probably don't even remember. I think Rory Bolden had 3 spells with us as well, which is just unbelievable to think. But a hat-trick from Rory Bolden to sink the boys for Kirkcaldy. It was an hellacious day. The Wraith Rovers team was really, really good. They had like John Baird, who was scoring for fun that season as well. I mean, and somehow Andy McNeil, who of course is famous with Wraith Rovers for they were about to win the first division, I think, and I think it was still John McGlynn was their manager, and he dropped David McGurn, who was like arguably the best goalkeeper in the Scottish lower leagues for many, many years. Dropped him for Andy McNeil, who ended up signing for us. And basically all of the Wraith Rovers fans blamed him for losing them that title. So it's kind of made all the sweeter for that. So yeah, that midweek game, Rory Bolden hat-trick 3-0. That was probably my favourite Wraith Rovers Livy game of all time.
No, I remember that one. That was good. Rory Bolden was such a confusing player because he really shouldn't have been as good as what he was. Thomas, what about yourself? Give us your Wraith Rovers memory.
So it's a bit of a personal memory. I'm not involved in Livingston at all. It was Rebecca's uncle used to play for Wraith, and we went up. He got compo tickets one day, and I was quite buzzing about it, thinking new stadium on the list. It's going to be class. I didn't know like if it was hospitality or that. It wasn't. And I just remember we were in the very weird L-shaped stand at the side. And it was just such a weird experience sitting, because you kind of sit at an angle to the pitch when you're in that stand, which I've never experienced anywhere else. Like, so we were sitting like right in the middle, and it was almost like my neck was sore. I can't even remember who the game was against. I think Rebecca's uncle played about 25 minutes, come back for injury, but you kind of had to sit like at an angle, and it was so bizarre, but it kind of stood out for me because it was never a good game as far as I remember. The pitch was a shambles, but yeah, not a very interesting one. But aye.
Jake, give us your Wraith Rover memory.
So, bit of a scummy move, but my actual Wraith Rover memories was not with Livingston. It was actually when I went through with a few of my stinky Jambo mates to watch.
I forgot that you were a wee Hearts boy for a while.
Only because I hadn't found my friends. Just so you, like, I hadn't seen the
You
light.
and Jordan Rind.
Napal's pointer.
To be honest, in Hearts Supporters Club.
It was. I enjoyed it for the sesh. It was good. That's what I enjoyed the most. So, but I love. There's not like going over the bridge for an away day is brilliant, and you're on a few cans on the train and that. So, a few things about Wraith Rovers I really like. I think I love their song. I think they've got a great football, that Jordan Monroe one. No, Jordan Monroe. They play that. I think that's fucking great, and I sang it for about 3 weeks after I go. Also, I remember when it was a Hearts game, and I think it was in the cup, and I went through, and we'd been caning it pretty hard before, and I fell asleep. It's the only time I've ever fallen asleep at a football game. I was absolutely pissed, and Hearts are pissed as well. So I must have been. I had my hand on my leg. Hearts were 1-0 up in the first half, and then Rudy Scatchell came on and scored for Wraith Rovers in the last minute. And I've never seen this. And he turned around and he apologised to all the Hearts fans after he just like such a gimp. And I was like, what the fuck? He went round like he just scored the equaliser for his new team and turned to all the Hearts fans and apologised. And I was like, you're a fucking idiot. So that's my memory. Great away days and I'm always just absolutely hammered whenever I go to watch Wraith Rover games. But aye, hopefully we'll get a good Livy one soon. All of us, you're my friends.
Thanks to Jake there from the Gorgie Boys podcast for sharing his memory. My memory of Wraith Rovers, to be fair, I remember the 3-0 game that Owen mentioned with Rory Bolden. That was a good game. But again, because I'm such a negative wee Nancy, I'm going to go back to a defeat. It was the first game of the 2015-16 season. Like Jake, I was buzzing. We got the train, me and Mark Mickelson, got the train through from Edinburgh. A couple of tins on the train, going over the bridge, thinking, new season, new start. We've got players like Darren Cole, Spaz Georgiev, Jordan Sheeran. And I'm thinking, Ben Gordon. All the stars. And I'm thinking, great. This is going to be such a class start to the season. I can't wait to see these new... Oh, it's 1-0 Wraith. It was that quick. It was like kick-off, penalty, 1-0 Wraith within about 30 seconds. And I was like, I fucking hate this team so much. Then I think they scored... I think they might have been 3-0 up at half-time. Like, they just completely wiped us away. The highlight of the game was Darren Cole hitting the bar from a cross, and I was like, "Oh, we've really found a player in that Darren Cole." And then he proceeded to be shit. Spaz Georgiev came on. That was an experience. Jordan Sheeran played. I think Mark Burchell threw Jordan Sheeran and Spaz Georgiev on to save the game, which just is like a criminal offence. So yeah, that, and I think we beat them 3-0 in the reverse game at home. I think it might have been Declan Gallagher's last game, because I'm sure he scored.
Declan Gallagher scored 1 and Jordan White scored 2.
That's right.
That was it. Aye.
in game. I remember that.
See, for all those, for any betting fans, there always seems to be a penalty in a Livingston Wraith fixture. I don't think I can't remember the last time that I saw a Wraith Livingston fixture that didn't contain a penalty. So stick a fiver on there being a penalty during the game on Saturday.
That takes me to the what was. I can't believe he's missed the Wraith Rovers Scottish Cup game last year when we were 1-0 down for ages, and I was like, oh, it was just awful. And then we got those two quick goals. That Dykes goal was hilarious, wasn't it? That one, and then as one says, we got a penalty at the end there. So, I know. I think it could be a similar sort of game, by the way, like where Wraith will give us a game.
So it's now time to pick our very good boy Player of the Month award. Some people would think that we would have packed in after Sibbald gave us a cold custard pie. But no. We've upped our game by making the prize even more shite. Povey, over to you to present the award.
The Am in View podcast Player of the Month for March 2021 is El Capitano, the captain, Super Marvin Bartley.
Woo!
So he is... Yeah, well done, Mark. Well done, Mark. So since it was an international break, I thought, well, we'll get him a brand new issue of Take a Break's Take a Crossword magazine that he can enjoy whilst he gets his makeup done for Sports Scene. As well as the Am in View Very Good Boy certificate. Well done, Marvin.
That's class.
That's an unbelievable award.
You said you wouldn't laugh, but that's fucking
please say in the letter that you put this is so you can do this when
you're
getting makeup done for Sports Scene.
Of course, aye.
That's brilliant.
Right, so Jake, tell us why you voted for Marvin Bartley this month.
Not gonna lie, I felt it was kind of slim pickings. I think Owen really bullied me into choosing Marvin Bartley. I don't know. I think it's one of these things why Player of the Month shouldn't always be like a most improved player situation. But I kind of get why Jet got the less important Player of the Month from the actual club. But in fairness, I think Marvin has been better. I thought he had a really slow start of the season. I think he's starting to look a little bit old and a bit of a beat behind, I would say. And I've said a lot in this season and on the podcast, I'd probably prefer if maybe we didn't play him and someone so we could get the balls out quicker. I feel he can be quite slow, but he plays two good games, and because like at the same level he played to last season, I thought he was amazing throughout. Good on him. He's coming back into form, but I don't know how long he will be playing with us for. I'm hoping I hope that we start to push him into coaching. I'm not going to lie. I think he's got another season, and then I would have him on being a coach or things like that. Is that controversial? A wee bit? I don't know.
Just a tad harsh.
I think he's all right. I think he's fine, but yeah, I sometimes feel if he keeps the standard up over the last couple of games, 100%. I just can't see him being as consistent, which we really need him to be when we are going to be fighting next season or whatever. God, that sounds so negative. Well done, Marvin. good on you, lad.
Well done, Marvin. Time to retire. You just go be a coach now, Marvin.
Mate, oh God. Yeah, fuck that. He's never going to be my pal now, is he? Shit. Sorry.
We're definitely not getting a photo now. Thomas, who did you vote for Player of the Month this month?
So, whilst I would I was going to say agree with Jake, but I don't think it's time behind the boots up just yet, Marvin. Don't worry. I think we've still got plenty of time at you.
A wee bit.
I'll start off with saying Bartley's been good, really good the last few games. He's been back to his very solid best. He still wins us an unbelievable amount of free kicks, which helps us get up the park, and he's always kind of buzzing about in the middle, and he has been good, so I'm not going to complain too much. My vote this month was for the notorious J. Emmanuel Thomas, and this is for a couple of reasons. One, that goal, I think I've spoken about before, but unbelievable. I think it's going to be on every Livingston highlight reel for the rest of eternity. It's up there with Stuart Lovell for me, and I'm only about 85% joking with that. Nah, it's not quite on that level, but it was a great goal, to be fair. And he has, started clicking a wee bit more. And I thought he'd kind of really offered us something a wee bit different up top that we'd maybe not had before. It was also just to piss off Povey. And I'm still
funny that.
I'm still a wee bit better about losing Sharif Court about 6 weeks ago, so it's fine. So Jet was robbed. I'm glad that the wider Livingston populace of fans decided to vote for Jet for the official one. But
yeah,
I'm sure Jet would have preferred the book, the quiz book, rather than the lovely trophy that he got for Livingston. So shame on you.
But yeah,
Povey, who did you vote for? Did you vote for Mr. Bartley yourself, or did you have anyone else in mind for this month?
well, actually, my vote was for very bad boy Craig Sibbald. But, of course, we couldn't give him it because he never sent us a photo. I genuinely do think, again, he was player of the month. Slim pickings, as Jake said, to be honest. But no, Marvin Bartley, very deserving of it. Maybe excluding the Motherwell game. I remember he didn't really have a good game then, but you know what? He's our captain, and he brought us right back to it against Hamilton. And you know what? Yeah, well done, Marv. Delighted for you. I hope you have many hours spent on the crossword. Happy hours.
Hope he sends us a photo, man. That's all I want.
I know. I want a photo of him like doing the crossword, like in his house and that. That's what I want. Like,
sitting with his fucking half moon specs on.
Exactly.
Willy jumping on a cup of tea.
Owen, why did you choose Marvin Bartley for Player of the Month?
I chose Marvin Bartley because the three options which were presented to us were Marvin Bartley, Nicky Devlin, and J. Emmanuel Thomas. Let's first of all talk about J. Emmanuel Thomas, shall we? Povey, I think you're going to like this. J. Emmanuel Thomas had one good game. Arguably, he had one good game plus one good first half of another game. His goal was spectacular, but apart from that, he didn't deserve to win Player of the Month for the official club or even for us. Nicky Devlin. Let's go on to Nicky Devlin. The boy still can't cross worth a fuck. And he, too, had one good game, as far as I'm concerned. Jackson Longridge had two good games, as far as I'm concerned. So Jackson Longridge would have been in for a better shout than Nicky Devlin. But Marvin Bartley, if you go right the way back to the start of this season, Marvin Bartley was shite. He was one of the worst players on and he was in the side every single week. Whether that was because of Holt's system or something like that, I think he wanted to play Bartley differently. Since Martindale became manager, Bartley has just went back to being exactly who he was last season. And I think consistently over the last games that we've played in the last month, I think he's been good, back to his best. Just good all-round performances, like Thomas said, winning free kicks all the time, just being that nuisance, which he is, in the centre of the field, passing the ball around well. And I just genuinely thought that, he does all the good things right. So that's why I thought Bartley deserved it more than Devlin or J. Emmanuel Thomas. So there you go. Stick that on your Sports Sound podcast.
Jet's won as many Player of the Month as he has headers in the last month.
J. Emmanuel Thomas has won more Player of the Month competitions than Ollie McBurney's scored goals for Scotland.
That's some stat, to be fair. So the reason I chose Marvin Bartley, I sort of disagree with Owen in terms of Devlin. I think he's not been brilliant at points this season. I thought during March, though, the Motherwell game, it was him and Josh Mullen. They were the only sort of two that were looking to actually do anything. Bartley played okay in that game. Obviously, the Hamilton game, or the Rangers game, I thought Devlin again was okay. Hamilton game, Devlin gets 2 assists. You can't really argue with that. But then the thing that let him down was I know obviously it was just one mistake, but the mistake against Hibs cost us a goal. And, if you cost us a goal, then it's in a game that we were sort of on top in. If we'd held on, couldn't really see Hibs getting back into. But Bartley, I agree, this season, start of the year, I thought he was dreadful. I thought he looked miles off it. It was a bit of the Scott Brown under Ronnie Dyler. Thought he was a bit past it. Thought, nah, not really fancying this guy. But then as soon as Martindale came in, completely rejuvenated. Thought he was brilliant. Then he sort of had his obviously it wasn't his fault, but his wee flirt with left half back or whatever the proper term is in the cup final, and I thought, fucking hell, here we go again. His confidence went down. You could see that really bothered him, and he started playing shite. But yeah, I thought March, particularly against Rangers, I thought he was brilliant. And then the Hamilton and Hibs game, he was that solid sort of 6.5, 7 out of 10. Whereas Devlin had a 9 out of 10 and then a 6 out of 10. Whereas Bartley's just been sort of consistent. So that's why I chose Big Marvin Bartley as well.
I just wanted to kind of put this one out there as well. I think arguably another player that could have been considered for Player of the Month as well. I can't believe I'm about to say this. Robbie McCrory. I think he's been pretty solid this month. I think. I think.
Really good
aside
clean
really
sheets
from the cup final, but I think he's definitely. He's taken almost a full season when you consider he came in at the latter half of last season. So I mean, he's now almost played a full kind of season's worth of games for us in the Prem, and I think he's really starting to show that he can actually be quite good. Again, arguably his kind of organisation and communication with his defence is not so evident as it is with other goalkeepers, but I think Robbie McCrory could have been in with a shout this month as well. So he's made some really, really good saves, especially against Hibs. A couple of good saves against Hibs, and pretty sure he had a couple of really good ones against Hamilton as well.
Jakey boy.
Jake.
So I agreed with you, but I heard something in the commentary the other week was because I always thought I never really heard him. I never really compared to Max. I thought he was more like barking orders. But then I can't remember if it was Dave or Callum mentioned they're like, oh, that's what Robbie's good at. He's always speaking to his defence, always shouting things like that. And I was a bit like, oh really? Like. Maybe I think with me not being
I remember either hearing that or reading that as well, and being like,
I mean, obviously
what?
they're at the games and they're hearing everything. But I was a bit like, I don't remember him ever being like that. But maybe it's just maybe what we've not heard over the telly, and he is like that. But I always just thought, like you said, compared to Max, whatever, we're louder. But maybe I don't know. He's got an earpiece. He just goes direct into the
Is it just me, or does he know, like, kind of look like the type of guy that, like, talks like a mouse? He's like, John, Guthrie, move forward. I want 4 in the wall.
Is that some accent he's got as well?
Don't tell him that. You'll do.
I don't know. I mean, Angelo Massoni has nothing on fucking my Robbie McCrory impression. Like,
in conversation with Angelo Massoni and Robbie McCrory.
No, God.
I agree. I think
I don't.
You don't, Povey.
I don't. What McCrory Player of the Month? You joking? He didn't
in
get
with
a
a
clean
shout.
sheet.
In with a shout. In with a shout. More so, in my opinion, more so than Devlin and Jet.
Look at
That's,
that.
by
That
again,
Motherwell
that's
game.
my opinion.
That Motherwell
He's
game.
made saves,
they would have
but is that-
7-1.
Is that not his job to make saves?
Aye, but
Like-
Jet's job
He
is
did-
to
he
score
didn't even
goals, and
play.
he scored a goal.
But he didn't. Well, he didn't score a goal every game, did he? Although when he stopped.
But Robbie
banging on about
McCrory
that
made
goal.
a save every game.
Yeah, listen. Max played the first game of the month anyway, which was arguably the most impressive result. We almost got a point against Rangers again, and Robbie McCrory didn't feature. He let in 3 against Motherwell, and if you're telling me one of them isn't questionable goalkeeping, then I don't believe you. He's not had a clean sheet. He played 3 of the 4 games. How can he be player of the month? We might as well be bloody giving out Crosswords Willy Nilly. This is ridiculous. I'm not having it.
Well, folks, that just about wraps up for this week. Make sure you tune in to next week because we have our main man, Steve Tosh, on. Fortunately, couldn't make it tonight, so we postponed it to next week. So please keep sending in your Steve Tosh memories and we'll try and get it to him when we can. Also, keep your eyes peeled on our socials because we have a very special guest announced just after that. So, all your usual places. We've got our Twitter and Instagram at AmandViewPod. Facebook and YouTube, just search for the Almond View Podcast. And just remember to subscribe where you get your podcasts to be updated with our new episodes each week. And make sure, if you haven't before, listen to our old podcasts available now, you lovely, lovely people. Forza Livy, see you next week.
Me.